Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. K100, for all your gas-powered equipment, make water burn. Yamaha, rev your heart.
We're here in Owego, New York at the Tioga County Fair, a great annual celebration that's all things agriculture. We're here for the second annual Lumberjack competition, a great competition put on by Gary Hammond for the second year in a row. We got many competitors that are competing at the world-class level. Hi, I'm Bill Diva. This week we're covering the Springboard Chop, the axe throw, the modified saw, and the women's bow saw. Well, it's a beautiful little town. Owego, New York is actually established in 1787, part of the southern tier of the upstate New York and settled along the Pennsylvania border. Little town of about 20,000 people. The town name is actually derived after the Iroquois word awaga, which means where the valley widens. We got the Susquehanna River running through the town where the tourists and the locals can do a lot of fishing. And the county fair, one of the oldest in New York State. They got the Shadows of the Old West, some reenactments of old Western towns. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Demolition Derby, the Midway, the Tractor Trucking Pulling Series on Saturday night, and the Legends Stunt Show is also taking place on Friday. Now, the Lumberjack competition is part of the Saturday schedule, and we got over $5,000 in prize money, 50 competitors, sponsored by the Tioga State Bank. And the first event we're covering is a Springboard Chop. We're covering the top two heats. This first heat, Will Roberts taking on Nathan Waterfield. This has got to be probably the premier heat in this competition.
Best in the business right now, I'd say, in New York State, and actually quite interesting. Every time we've competed down here in New York, it's usually squared white pine. This is the home of beautiful white pine, and we're chopping poplar here.
Well, the New York State Lumberjack Association, the people that put this on, over the last couple of years, they've turned their events from squared timber to round timber. Look at Nathan Waterfield, 4-hit notch, and he's up on his second board.
Nathan Waterfield's probably the top of his game right now. He placed really well this year in the States, I know, in springboard chopping, and he's showing it here. 2 4-hit pockets.
No question. Nathan's one of the best springboard choppers in all of the United States. Will Roberts up on his second board, trying to catch Nathan right now.
And look at Nathan's block just falling apart here. When you see a big slab like that on a block, you know it's real soft wood, and Nathan's taking full advantage of it, making sure he's swinging really hard, really fast. He's into the small wood already.
Will Roberts doing an excellent job over on his side. He's going to be hard-pressed to catch Nathan right now because Nathan's got a couple more shots in the front side. Will Roberts right there, right with him, though.
He's keeping with him, but Nathan's around now to the backside. All he's going to do is slice it off, reach that far wood, and try to drive it off. Look at him. He's swinging from his toenails.
And there it is, Nathan Waterfield winning the first heat of Springboard Chop at a time of 54.41.
What a great time in wood this big.
Nathan, 4-4, you got to be up there in a hurry, and exactly what you did.
Yeah, perfect climb. The pulls were nice and soft. 4-4 and not super fast cadence, but I wanted to be sure of them. And then up top, I cut. It was a soft block. Cut pretty quick and made a couple mistakes, but honestly, it didn't slow me down because the wood was just flowing well and a few hang-ups, but yeah, happy with that.
Now, by looking at you, I can tell you're comfortable with your board because your right foot is right out in the back of that board. So we can tell by looking at you, you've got to be having a good comfort level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to get way back on your board. I mean, ideally, when you cut on the ground, you're just as far from the block as you are when you're on the back of your board. So, there's an end to the board for a reason. You put your foot there and cut away.
Well, we always couldn't wait to get down to New York State to chop that soft white pine, but boys, looks like their poplar is every bit as soft.
Well, a great start to the competition here in Owego, New York, with a 54-4-1 set by Nathan Waterfield in the first heat. This is going to be our final heat of the Springboard Chop. Trevor Beaudry taking on Matt Bolton. Now, Matt Bolton's coming on strong in the chopping game the last couple of years. He's from Canandaigua, New York.
Doing a good job here. Does a 4-stroke pocket, but he doesn't clean it out right to the very back. And of course, the springboard will not sit in a pocket like that.
Well, you've been preaching for years. You got to clear out your wood, and that's exactly what he did not do, jamming his board into a piece of wood. Trevor Beaudry right there with him. Both guys in their first board, working on their second notches. Looks like Trevor Beaudry did a good job of cleaning out his second board, and now Matt Bolton goes in there with his hands to clean out the wood.
Yeah, so again, they're learning as they go here. Young competitors, but they know they've got a fast time to catch. That 54.4 is going to be hard to track down here by Nathan Waterfield in the first heat.
A little bit tentative there by Trevor getting up his second board.
But again, good job here, great job. They're getting into it. Trevor Beaudry is a great chopper. We've seen him at the University of New Hampshire. We actually competed against him up our way. Neat to see him down here in New York taking on the big guys.
Well, Matt Bolton's up in his second block there, and he's a real power hitter. Look at the upper body of Matt Bolton. He's short and stocky, but he's got a lot of power. Trevor Beaudry's got more of that longer 6-foot reach on him, more of a bigger wingspan.
It reminds me of Marty O'Toole, the way Trevor Beaudry swings, actually. But yeah, Matt, he's a bulldog. Look at the size of him. He's big, strong hits. He's actually caught up to Trevor right now here in the springboard.
Both guys trying to finish things off in the front side there to get over to the backside and cleaning things out, trying to get about 90% of the way through on their springboard chop up top there. And both guys are about to turn at the same time, I think.
But if you look at the blocks, you can see that Trevor's a long ways through his block. And you see right here when Matt's turning, he's still got a lot of wood to chop, so it's going to take him a while to get through this in the back.
A little unbalanced there up in the second board for Trevor Beaudry. You can see he almost swung and missed at the block. He should chip things out, just like Bolton here. And both guys are going to try to drive things off. And Trevor Beaudry clocks in with a 144.67 in the last heat of the springboard chop. Looks like Nathan Waterfield wins it with his 54.41. Okay, a couple of comments there. I saw you talking to Matt about hitting a screw, or did you damage your axe on that at all?
By the appearances, the axe came out of it fine, which is surprising, judging by the fact that some of the finish on the screw was missing, and the scarf matched perfectly with where the screw head was. So what I must have done was, there's two angles on the axe. There's a very fine cutting edge, and then there's a chisel behind it, and it must have hit it on the chisel and taken the paint off with how close it was. So I just basically got lucky.
Well, you got to be happy with that, but I also understand it was a pretty good block up there.
Yeah, the axe cut it really well, and the wood cut really well as well, so can't complain.
Well, the springboard chop is now complete with Nathan Waterfield, one of the best springboard cutters in all of the United States, demolishing the field by 14 seconds. Just before the show got started, I had a chance to talk to John Schumacher. John, just tell me a little bit about the history of the Tioga County Fair and how many years you've been involved with it.
For the record, I think it right now is registered as the second oldest fair in New York State. I've been involved. This is probably my second year as president of the fair. It was started in the 1850s, 1860s. It could be the oldest fair in New York State if we could document exactly when it met.
So events like this just don't happen. They take money. You know, sponsors are very important. I know you have Tioga State Bank as one of your key supporters, but just tell me about the importance of sponsors and community support.
If it wasn't for the sponsorships, we would never be able to pull this off to the quality we want or pay out the people that we want to pay. So we thank everybody, including yourselves, for helping us through.
Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit here and head into the women's bow saw. In total, we're going to be showing you the top three heats. This first heat features a Canadian versus an American. We've got Emma Crossley from Toronto, Ontario, a graduate of Fleming College, taking on Gretchen Sikora.
So big wood again here. We know it's really soft. We saw in the chops. It's going to be interesting to see how well this stuff saws.
Well, the stanchions are a little bit high as well, and Gretchen Sikora is not a tall woman. You can see her really reaching up high there. Emma Crossley from Toronto, a Fleming grad, as mentioned, has a hard time in the start there with being a little bit too aggressive. Gretchen Sikora way ahead at this point.
Bounces a saw right. A very interesting technique here by Emma. With that, see that front foot coming off the ground and going back down again. Quite interesting. I know she's a smaller girl, but look at Gretchen. She's getting to the small wood now, doing a great job here in the bow saw.
And Emma on the left-hand side should have her left hand probably a little bit further up on the bow where the tape is on her red bow there, pulling things down. Gretchen Sikora wins the first heat with a 25.6.
And Emma needs a little bit more work on that pull stroke, just not getting the power on that blade coming back.
That's a lot of wood for a women's bow saw. What is it, about 10, 12 inches round?
I think it's a 10-inch. I didn't actually measure it, but...
Just tell me about your cut in general. It's a long haul down there.
It is a long haul. I kept changing my angle, and I'd catch a little bit, which slowed me down. I haven't practiced as much as I should have, obviously. But yeah, if you run it smooth, it would be quick, like the ones that got done before me. Otherwise, you end up third.
Thanks, Gretchen.
Yep, you're welcome.
Well, Gretchen Sikora has now got the time to beat a 25.62 heading into heat number 2. This should be a great heat. We got Holly Waterfield, which is the wife of Nathan Waterfield, taking on Melissa DeCanis. Melissa is excellent at Sawyer.
We've seen Melissa up in Canada, of course. She's from Canada, competed at the Sir Sanford Fleming College, and she's got a lot of strength, but holy smokes, does she ever run the blade slow?
Yeah, she's not running it fast at all, and once again, her right hand, because she's left-handed, it should be further up on the bow. You can see the tape on her red bow there. She's not pulling down on the blade at all.
Look at the bottom of the screen, though. Here we see Holly Waterfield just putting the pressure on it. She gets into the small wood, and she's going to be off here in 24.3. What a great cut here by Holly Waterfield. And, man, the Canadians, who are usually dominant in the bow saw, both these girls have struggled terrible in this event.
Holly, it's a big piece of wood for women's bow saw. Just tell me how it went for you in general. It was pretty smooth, no mistakes really.
It was pretty smooth, but I don't cut the bow saw very often anymore, so this is the first cut I've made since last fall, and I think it went pretty well considering that.
Just tell me how it compares to pulling a single buck saw. Obviously, it's a lot lighter, a little easier to pull, but you still got to use a lot of the blade and keep your blade level.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to a little bit smaller range of motion, a little more fine-tuning. Different muscles involved. You're trying to keep a little bit more pace than you would in the single buck, I think. So, yeah, it's just quite a bit different than the single, but lighter in general, yeah.
Well, absolutely. If you watch Melissa DeCandis in this last heat, she's an excellent single buck sawyer, and she was treating that bow saw like a single buck with the long, slow strokes. It just doesn't work in the bow saw.
No, and these two competitors here, very capable in the buck saw. We have Kendall Edmondson, who we've competed against up our way in the Northeast. She's actually a strong girl. Should be really good here in the bow saw. She's taking on Julie Miller, and look at the strength and speed of Julie.
Excellent job there by Julie Miller. She's got the speed, she's got the strength. We've got the breast cancer awareness bow sawer on the right-hand side with the pink bow, and Julie Miller's going to win this heat with a time of 17.40 as Kendall, she's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, she's not going to be too happy with this cut here. She's a lot stronger and does a lot better typically in the bow saw than what she's just done here.
Julie, you've seen a couple of different styles out there. You had a really successful cut there, but you got a combination of speed and weight on that saw.
Yeah, it's kind of with the frame of my build. I have to use speed and some strength. This is kind of a smaller show. When we go to the bigger shows against some bigger women, you gotta work to your own advantage. So we try to throw some speed and some strength on that saw. So.
Well, we got some good female cutters here. The results are not in yet, but you're going to be in the money. You got to be pretty happy with that.
I am. Anytime you can get in the money, it makes your day a little bit better. So.
Well, Julie will have a little bit of a payday in the women's bow saw with a third-place finish, but in an earlier heat, Megan Matta and Kara Stone took her down. Here we are back in Owego, New York, the part of the southern tier of upstate New York, just along the Pennsylvania border for the Tioga County State Fair and the Lumberjack competition. We're going to slow things down a little bit heading into the axe zone. Now, earlier in the day, all 54 competitors here at the Lumberjack competition participated in the preliminary axe throw. We're going to be showing you the top 4 that made it to the finals here this afternoon.
And we're starting off with my buddy Billy Simcox, and you won't be too happy with that throw. He actually drifted a little bit high, so he's into a 4.
Looks like Billy's living large these days. He's living the good life. He's well into his 60s right now, twilight of his lumberjack career. And once again, Rod, he's probably going to be disappointed with that one as well.
Yeah, Bill's a pretty good axe thrower, usually fairly consistent. He's kind of all over the place. Not sure whether there's much wind there.
Well, he's got a 2-throw total of 7 right now. And, he's got to be happy with that one there, ending off things pretty strong with a bullseye. And Billy Simcox is going to end up with a 3-throw total of 12. Still got 3 strong axe throwers to come. He's got to be disappointed with that. Not likely to win with a 12, but you never know. You put in your score, and then you take your chances.
Good throwing here by Bill, just the same. Watch this last throw here. He does catch the bullseye. It's a good example of actually how the axe just has to break the highest scoring circle to get points for it as we head into Will Roberts.
Will Roberts' first throw. They're going to give him a 4 for that. The judge can have a closer look there. Gives him the head nod, the negative head nod there, saying he pretty much straddled the bullseye. He's going to get 4 points. And Will Roberts, he creases the 4 as well on the second throw. He's got a 2-throw total of 8 right now. And Will Roberts, very disappointing, 2 on his third throw. And Will is going to end up with a 3-throw total of 10, putting him in second place.
He's a little bit light on his throw. And again, here's another good example of the double stick up our way. A double stick is actually disqualification, but down here the rules are a little bit different in New York. You can actually get away with that.
Dave Engasser, he's the model of consistency in axe throwing actually, and he's got the same routine over and over again. He's got a first throw total of 4 right there. He's got to take down the 12 of Bill Simcox. Dave Engasser should be able to do it.
Dave can. Again, very uncharacteristic of him being out there in a 3. He's usually a bullseye thrower, but Not sure. You can see the flag moving there in the background. Maybe that's what's thrown these guys off a little bit. But there's something, because all the guys are usually quite consistent. There we go. That's usually what we see at a Dave Engasser.
Well, he's got a free-throw total of 12 right now. This is very unlike Dave Engasser to come up with only 12 points. He's tied himself with Bill Simcox. And look at that, Billy Simcox from Pennsylvania still in the running there for at least the first-place tie with Dave Engasser at 12 points with only one thrower. It's Canandaigua's Matt Bolton coming up next.
And again, okay, the good throw by him right there. It's a solid 4, maybe up into the 5, depending on where that point is, but he's got lots of room, so he should be throwing with lots of confidence, and he does. He gets himself a bullseye. One more like that, even a ringer, and he can take this home.
A 2-throw total of 9 points for Matt Bolton, and Matt Bolton, he gets another bullseye for a 3-throw total of 14 with 2 bullseyes.
Good throwing here.
Nat, we've covered you a couple of times, but you're really an axeman. You had some good axe throwing competition there. Just tell me what your game is all about in the axe throw.
Today went really well. This morning in the practice round, I was just trying to get a feel for it. Threw a 12, felt really confident. Felt like it was on today. Some days it's either you have it or you don't. And then coming into the finals here, throwing the 4, and then I kind of just changed where I was aiming a little bit, and then I got dialed in, threw a 4, then 2 bullseyes. So I was pretty happy with it.
In the axe throw finals, Billy Simcox has 12 points, holds on for 3rd place. Dave Engasser squeezes him out in a throw-off, and Matt Bolton takes 1st place with 14 points.
We're back here in Owego for one of the oldest state fairs in all of New York. And if you want to come and see a reenactment of a pioneer village or an old Wild West town, you can come and see that, or you can come for the Lumberjack competition. We are going into the modified chainsaw rod. We're covering the top 4 heats. And what do they mean by modified chainsaw here?
We've seen everything, of course, from chainsaws that are just slightly modified to, of course, the big hot saws. These ones here are modified. They have to be a chainsaw. They can soup them up a little bit, but it's got to be a saw.
Well, this first heat, we got your buddy, I know you like him, Brad Stevens from Vermont, taking on Katie Ames.
Both of these people from way up north, and Brad has a little bit of a bobble in his first cut. Katie Ames into her second cut.
And Stevens takes down Katie Ames with a 4.94, handling, winning the first heat in the modified chainsaw. A couple of things to note there. You've got your saw on a stand. It makes it a little bit quicker to the wood, I guess, because you don't have to go down as far to get it.
Nah, it's not really on a stand. The legs, I have the pipe goes underneath, so the saw is only actually an inch off the ground legally by the rules. So, and I'm old, I can't bend over quite so far.
So your saw is cutting great there. Were you a little bit too aggressive on that first cut?
Yeah, I pushed a little bit too much. This is only the 2nd time I've run it this year, so that first cut, I give it a little too much weight on it, and it bogged down a little bit, but next week.
Well, actually, you can wrap those pipes in just about whatever direction you want. You see these ones here go along the side. Some of the smarter thinking guys will wrap it underneath and then put a stand on it, bring the saw a whole lot closer to the wood, and Brad Stevens taking full advantage of that.
Well, Brad says the saw is an inch off the ground. It's a pretty big inch to me. It looked like about 5 or 6 inches with that pipe underneath the saw. Here we got Dave Engasser taking on Mike Ash. 4.94 time to beat by Brad Stevens. And Dave Engasser makes mincemeats out of 3 cuts there, coming in with a 4.41, the second heat of the modified chainsaw.
Oh, I know Mike's saving it all for the chopping events.
A couple of things to note of your strategy there. One, during the warm-up, you're the only one there that's running your saw into wood right before the heat. What's that part about?
Well, Ed Hurd, the guy that built it, that's something he recommends to do. And I put a little too much fuel in it when I did the warm-up. So I wanted to make sure all the flush was out of her. But it puts heat in the motor, and to make power, you need heat.
Okay, well, I mean, your saw is running very well. The other thing I note as well, you're the only guy cross-handed before the go signal on the block. Does that just help you with your speed to the saw?
Oh, if I'm confused to start, I don't get confused later.
Well, veteran competitor Dave Engasser, he's always got a little bit of a quick-witted answer for me when I do those interviews with him. Right now, he's got the time to beat at 4.41. He lowered that by half a second over Brad Stevens' time. This is Mary Reeder taking on Brett Smith.
And Brett Smith having lots of trouble getting his saw into the wood, but Mary Reeder doing a nice smooth job. Here she gets 3 cuts in the ground in 5.8 seconds.
Flawless by Mary Reeder there, but still a far cry from Dave Engasser's time. So hot saws can be fairly temperamental. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That was a really nice cut. Tell me about it.
It's just, one of those things. Some days you have it, some days you don't, like you said. And pretty good at being, consistent with my runs.
Well, then, guys, there's still a time to beat a 4.41. This is going to be our last heat. Should be a great heat. We got veteran competitor and good friend of Dave Van Gasser, Tim Keach, been competing at this Lumberjack sports for well over 25 years, taking on Steve Michelacci. Often we see his wife, Levon Michelacci. Here's Steve in the finals of the modified chainsaw.
Yeah, we also see his young fella competing as well, but Steve, nice smooth cut here, and he's going to get down first. Oh, he has a little bit of a bobble, but he still gets it off in 5.3.
That's going to be good enough for fourth place for Michelacci. Tim Keach is going to finish fifth with a 5.70, and Gasser's going to win it. Steve, pretty tough crowd here to be able to win that competition, but it could cost you a little bit on that third cut, eh?
Yes, I kind of went for it, so I knew I had to be fast.
Yeah, it was going to be, you had to go home or go big or go home attitude?
Big or go home, yep.
So you think it's going to cost you a couple places in the standings?
Yeah. Yep. Can't make any mistakes.
What happened? You just got too aggressive?
Yeah, I went for it.
Well, the go big or go home attitude by Steve Michelacci cost him with a 5.34 and giving him fourth place. Dave Van Gasser wins it with a solid run of 4.41.
And the crown pivotal point for today, focus on my old buddy Chris Chikora, who was here competing in the modified saw, has a poor run. He's usually a favorite in this event, finishes 10th.
And it's still early in the game here at the Tioga County Fair in beautiful Owego, New York. We got Dave Van Gasser leading the pack at 175, but we still got a whole lot of action yet to come.
And the K100 Lumberjack of the day today focuses on a graduate from Finger Lakes Community College. It's Matt Bolton. He throws 3 good throws in the axe throw, gets 14 points, and wins the event.
We're now 1/3 of the way through the competition, and it's only just getting started. Big events like this just don't happen without the help of the New York State Lumberjack Association and people like the Tioga State Bank. Come back again next week when it'll be time for Lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Quick Dam, the new alternative to heavy sandbags. Yamaha, rev your heart.
A friend of mine once told me in any lumberjack competition, you can't really win it with the stock saw event, but you can lose it by taking a DQ. And you're gonna take a DQ right out of the gate if you don't have the proper safety gear on. The first thing, you have to have some eye protection. The second thing, you have to have hearing protection. Chainsaws will be very loud, you gotta protect your hearing. And the third thing that is mandatory are ballistic nylon, either chaps or cutter pants that are built right into the chaps.